Hello everyone, today we're solving bio paper 22, Feb March 2022. The diagram shows a test tube containing pond water. The green color is caused by the microorganisms that have chloroplast. Which characteristics of living organisms are shown? Reproduction is not occurring. Growth is not occurring. Photosynthesis releases energy for growth, but then this does not indicate that growth is actually occurring, right? The key shows some features of living organisms that can be caused to place them into one of the three different kingdoms. Which row correctly identifies these three kingdoms? Has no nucleus means it's a prokaryote because they don't have actually a defined nucleus. If it does have a nucleus and a cell wall, that means it's a plant. I am image actual magnification. They said that the actual is represented in the diagram, right? So that makes it I as in like 1, and then the image size is 70. We need to change it to micrometer, or change the micrometer to 2 millimeter. That makes it 70,000. Two types of cells, one animal, one plant, were examined under a light microscope. Which row shows the correct combination of structures that would be observed in the cell? Animal cell does not have a chloroplast nor a cell wall. The diagram shows a cross-section through a leaf. Which arrow shows the direction of diffusion of carbon dioxide on a sunny day? On a sunny day means that photosynthesis is more than respiration, right? So the movement of carbon dioxide into the cell through stomata by diffusion. The diagram shows a plant cell after it's been submerged in a solution P for 20 minutes. Which row describes the water potential of the solution P at the start of the experiment at the conditions of the cell after 20 minutes? This means like whenever you see the cell is flaccid and the cell membrane have like contracted, means that the water moved from inside to out of the cell. This means that the water potential outside was lower than inside. That causes the gradient movement. Which row is the correct for the positive result of vitamin C? So it basically starts as blue, it does not require heat, and it decolorizes the solution if it's positive, right? So that makes it B. In which molecules are cross-links formed between bases? That's actually DNA. Which controls the speed of the chemical reactions of all living cells? Enzymes. Which row explains why the activity decreases if the temperature is not optimum? If it's below optimum, the enzyme will like have very slow speed, have very low kinetic energy, so they won't collide more often, right? So they don't denature. They only slow down. If it's like more than optimum, they denature and the active site changes shape, so that makes it not complementary for the substrate. The iodine test is that it turns blue-brown if it's positive, right? And that occurs only on the green part of the leaf because that's the only part where chloroplast is present, right? And it's actually photosynthesizing. So as they cover this area, light won't reach the cells. So there's no starch produced. So there won't be any positive results. So that makes it A. The graph shows the effect of the light intensity on the rate of photosynthesis. Which environmental factor is the limiting on the photosynthesis on X? Alright, so basically when you see like any diagram, as you increase the light intensity, the rate starts to increase till this point. So below this point, light intensity is a limiting factor. And then after, like when it's constant, it's where carbon dioxide is limiting, maybe temperature is limiting, and other factors as well. So light intensity would be the answer. Which condition can be caused by the lack of fiber? Constipation, and that's because fibers allows ease of movement of feces and other excretory products. Which test tube will break down the fat the fastest? So okay, let's talk about the function of each. Bile emulsifies fat, so it's basically like mechanical digestion. It breaks it down to smaller pieces. Lipase would digest the fats. Milk is the actual thing that's been digested, right? So if there's something for example, like you're reacting acid with a base or something, and then you kept in a reagent that breaks it down to smaller pieces, so it increased its surface area. So that makes the acid, or like the lipase in this case, react more, or like have a contact with the surface area more. So that increases the digestion. So that makes it A. And boiled lipase means it's denatured. The diagram shows stages in the passage of water through a plant. Which arrow shows the water movement in the form of water vapor? It moves out of the stomata. So that's basically the movement of food. So whenever the plant is not photosynthesizing, always consider that the roots or the tuber is actually the source. So that makes the leaves or the shoots the the sink, right? So the answer is D. The diagram shows a section through a heart. Which is the function of the structure labeled Q? Q is the intraventricular valve, so it prevents the backflow. During the process of blood clotting, the damage to blood vessels stimulates L, and M is converted to N. What is L, M, and L, M, and N? I'm sorry. So what gets stimulated is actually the platelets, and it turns fibrinogen into insoluble fiber. Which statement about passive immunity is correct? Passive immunity, you need antibiotics that are injected into your body. Memory cells are only produced in active. Compared with inspired air, which description of expired air is correct? It has less oxygen and more carbon dioxide. Which shows that the features of gas exchange surface in humans? It has large surface area to increase absorption or increase the gas exchange, and it has like thin walls so that the gas exchange could occur like rapidly. They said no air, right? So that makes it no oxygen as well. And this actually only occurs in the muscle when you have like an oxygen depth. So the answer is A. Which process uses energy released in respiration? Growth. Which term describes the removal of nitrogen-containing part of amino acids to form urea? Deamination. Deamination is the removal of the nitrogen-containing part of amino acids. Which numbered parts from the central nervous system? It's the brain and the spinal cord, which makes it 1 and 2. The diagram shows a section through a heart of an eye of an octopus. It has eyes that are similar in structure and function to the human eyes. So basically, also like carry out elimination method. You know that 5 is the pupil, right? So it's not A, it's not C. You know that 4 is the iris, so it's D. A person eats a large bowl of rice. Rice contains starch. What happened to the amount of insulin and glycogen in their body? This means that it's been digested and broken down to glucose, right? This means that the blood glucose increased, or the blood sugar increased. So insulin is produced to change glucose into glycogen. So that causes insulin to increase, glycogen to decrease. A study investigated the effect of arm muscle surface area of taking testosterone and doing exercise. Alright, so basically, as you see here, the placebo did not do any effect when you're not doing any exercise, and it had the lower effect even if you did exercise, right? So testosterone will have the most effect even if you're not doing any exercise. It increases from the average arm muscle surface area. So taking testosterone increases the arm muscle surface area whether you're doing exercise or not. Which statement about reproduction is correct? All living things species can reproduce asexually. That's actually very wrong. Gametes are needed for asexual reproduction. Nope, because it's only from one parent. Only organisms that that are separated from the other organism. Nope, because like if you separate a mammal from each other, or like the other species or the other genders, it still won't produce. Some of them reproduce sexually and asexually. That's actually correct. What will happen if a woman smokes during pregnancy? Nicotine is a substance that can diffuse through the placenta, which harms the fetus. Which curve in the graph represents the hormone LH? What's LH? It's luteinizing hormone, and it stimulates ovulation on day 14. So that's actually like near week 2. So that makes it C. What happens to the mass of DNA in a nucleus before mitosis occurs? It doubles. So that like when it divides, like this is how it looks. This is like the nucleus and the information, and this is another one. And then when mitosis occurs, it just like breaks down. Which statement about variation is correct? Continuous variation result in few and no intermediates. That's not correct. It has a lot of intermediates. This continuous variation result in few phenotypes with no intermediate. That's correct, because I could take it as an example. You can either roll your eyes or roll your tongue, or you cannot. There's no in between. Which row describes the effect of these features on water loss and the type of plant that has these features? Alright, so the effect on water loss, because it has like small leaves, thick waxy cuticle, that decreases the water loss. So C and D is removed. And that actually happened in the xerophytes. That makes it B. And the heterophytes are the ones on like lilies or something. Alright, this confusion was I'm sorry, I was the one confused. This question was like one of the confusing questions in this paper. So basically, they said that the zygote did not have the same diploid number or haploid number like the others, right? So just take it as an example. If you take if the diploid number of species 2 was 29, that wouldn't make sense, right? And they said 64, so 64 over 2 makes it 32. Alright, so that like species 2 cannot actually meet the same of the zygote, so that makes it wrong. And the haploid is 35, so that cannot also meet, because like you can't have species 1 and species 2 having the same number, right? So that leaves you with D. The diagram shows some of the stages involving in the nitrogen cycle. Alright, so like do something that you are very fond of, right? So atmosphere nitrogen to nitrate the actual nitrogen fixation. B. As easy as it could. Okay, genetically engineered bacteria are supposed to produce human proteins. In which component of the bacterial cell in human being DNA is inserted to produce human proteins? Plasmid. That's actually why they use bacteria, because like it's an external DNA in the cell. The sugar in milk is digested by an enzyme. Lactase. Alright, so what activity ensures the sustainability? Cutting down trees only selected, so that's actually like selected agroforestry. Educating, creating awareness, replanting trees. That's actually agriculture, which is like plays a very big role in deforestation. So it's only 1, 2, and 3. So we finished this paper, and I hope you enjoyed and like understood from my explanation. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. Like and subscribe and ring the bell to have a notification of my further videos. Thank you and have a nice day.